Hello guys, welcome to another episode of this particular video, and as usual I am Jafet Okaka Ebosetali. So today, under law of contracts, we are going to be looking at one of the ineffective modes of accepting an offer. Earlier on we discussed what an offer was, we looked at what is an offer, we looked at what is an acceptance, but today we are going to be looking at one of the ineffective modes, one of the invalid ways of accepting an offer, and that is counter offer. So today we are going to be looking at counter offer. So we'll begin. Now, an acceptance have been defined as a final and unqualified expression of assent to the terms of an offer. That was what we said earlier on, that an acceptance is final, it is unqualified, it's not maybe I will accept, so it is final. So thus, and for thus an acceptance to be valid, thus for acceptance to be valid, it must correspond to the terms of the offer. When, now that's it, when an offeree varies the terms of an offer by the introduction of new or different terms, a counter offer is said to have been made, and counter offer is an invalid mode of accepting an offer. So when the offeror makes an offer, the offeror makes an offer, he says, will you buy my barrel for 100 naira? That's an offer. But however, instead of the offeree to say, okay, I accept to buy your barrel for 100 naira, and the offeree then says or writes that, let me buy your barrel for 80 naira. Now that's counter offer. That is the offerer have varied the term. He have introduced new or different terms. So you see it, offer is, will you buy my barrel for 100, that's offer. But when the offeree varies the terms, by the time the offeree himself accepted the terms of the contract, instead of accepting the terms of the offer, he varies it. He said, I don't want to buy this barrel for 100 naira. Let me buy this barrel for 15 naira. Now he have varied it, and once he have varied it, it is not said to be an offer. It is not said to be acceptance. It is said to be counter offer. So that's counter offer and not acceptance. So for better clarification, let's look at following cases in order to explain what counter offer means. First of all, in the case of Lawan versus UBN, the court observed that counter offer or qualified acceptance cannot give rise to a binding agreement, which you are all aware of. Now let's look at the leading case of Hinde versus Rech. Hinde versus Rech. Now in this particular case, Rech offered Hinde a farm for 1,000 naira. Hinde made a counter offer of 950 naira. So you see, Rech ordered, sorry for using the word naira. Okay, Rech ordered Hinde a farm for 950 for 1,000. Say, Rech said, take my farm for 1,000 naira. But what Hinde did now, he made a counter offer. He said, no, I'm not going to take this farm for 1,000 naira. Let me take this farm for 950. That was what Hinde said. Now, on the 29th of June, Hinde made a purported acceptance to the offer of 6th June. So you see what Hinde did now. Rech first of all told him, take my farm for 1,000 naira. Hinde did not accept it. He made a counter offer, and he made a counter offer of 950. He said that I'm not going to accept that one. Let me give me that farm for 950 naira. But however, on the 29th of June, he made an acceptance to the first offer of 1,000 naira. On the 29th of June, he purported to have accepted the first offer of 1,000 naira. On the 29th of June, he said, no, accept that offer. Maybe since Rech did not accept that counter offer he made, he then purported to have accepted that one of 1,000 naira. Now, what will the court say? The court held that counter offer or operated as a rejection of the original offer and no contract was established. That's what the court held in this particular case. The court held that no, you cannot accept it again. First of all, Reg told you, take my farm for 1,000. You made a counter offer of 915 naira. Once you have made that counter offer of 915 naira, you cannot accept that one of 1,000 naira again. You can't accept it. Counter offer operated as a rejection. So once you say, I'm not going to buy this thing for this amount, let me buy it for this amount, you have rejected it. You have rejected it. You cannot come back and say, sorry, okay, I won't buy it for 150 again. Let me now buy it for 1,000 naira. It's not possible again. So that's what the court held in this particular case. Now, let's look at another case. Let's look at another case. Okay, let's look at the case of Invite versus Ferrando Agro Consortium. Invite versus Ferrando Agro Consortium. The plaintiff replied an offer with. Now, this is how the plaintiff replied the offer. An offer has been brought to the plaintiff by the defendants. Now, look at the way the plaintiff replied the offer. Look at the way the plaintiff replied the offer. Now, you first of all answer the question whether that's an acceptance or a counter offer. Now, look at the way the plaintiff replied the offer. The plaintiff stated, he wrote, "Thank you for your offer, but we will kindly request that period of payment be extended." So is that one a counter offer or is it an acceptance? Because the defendant sent him an offer and he made a reply to the offer saying, we kindly thank you for the offer, but we kindly request that the period of payment be extended. So is that counter offer or is that acceptance? That's a very good question. Now look at what the court held. It was held that the statement was a counter offer. According to the court, he said that statement is counter offer. A period of time have been given you for payment. A period of time. Say, will you buy this barrel for 100 naira before on Sunday? Then you say, okay, thank you for the offer, Japhet, but I kindly request that the period of payment be extended. That's a counter offer. So that was the decision of the court. Now, moving on, let's then look at another case to explain this thing clearly. We will now be looking at the case of Ini versus Ferrando. Ini versus Ferrando. Now, in Ini versus Ferrando, the defendant offered to sell a particular asset to the plaintiff for 3.55 million. The defendant offers to sell a particular asset to the plaintiff for 3.55 million and requested he pay the money in 3 days. So the defendant told the plaintiff, will you buy this asset for 3.55 million? And you have to pay. You have to pay. If you accept it, you have to pay this thing in 3 days' time. Now, look at what the plaintiff did after the defendant made that offer. The plaintiff made a counter offer. The plaintiff made a counter offer and requested the payment and he requested he pay it in 3 weeks. The plaintiff made a counter offer and said, this 3 days is too short. Let me pay this thing in 3 weeks and another 3 days instead of the 3 days he requested. So what did the defendant do? The defendant then went ahead and sold it to a third party. The plaintiff then sued the defendant for breach of contract. Can you see this particular thing in versus Ferrando? The defendant told the plaintiff, buy this asset for 3.55 million and pay in 3 days' time. The plaintiff said that okay, that's nice, but please, I'm requesting that you just shift the date. That 3 days is too short. Shift it to 3 weeks. Shift it to 3 weeks. And what did the defendant do? The defendant sold it to another person. He did not sell it to the plaintiff again. Then the plaintiff was annoyed and instituted an action against the defendant. And the court held that instituted an action against the defendants. And the court held that counter offer was not a valid acceptance, and therefore no contract was established between them. That's what the court held. The court held there was no contract between you, so it was counter offer. Thank you. So that's it for that particular case. So you can see that counter offer does not amount to acceptance. If you request that the period of time be extended, it does not amount to acceptance. So there is one more thing you need to note, and that's it. In fact, there are two things that you need to note before drawing the content for this particular discussion, and that's number one. This is the first thing. A counter offer will create a binding obligation once it is accepted by the offeree. Now there is an offer. Now the offeror makes an offer to the offeree. The offeror makes an offer to the offeree. The offeror have made an offer to the offeree. The offeree made a counter offer. He said, I'm not going to do this thing. The money is too much. Let me pay 950. He made a counter offer. He made a counter offer. So now that's a counter offer. If this party decide to accept the counter offer, it will create a binding obligation. Now let's then look at the case. In explaining it, let's then look at the case of Oni versus Communications Associates. Oni versus Communications Associates Nigeria Limited, in explaining this particular thing. Now, in this particular case, the plaintiff offered to lease two flats. The plaintiff offered to lease two flats to the defendant at £2,000. The defendant replied accepting the offer. The defendant replied accepting the offer and said that a air conditioner be installed by the plaintiff. Now that was like a counter offer. He said, oh, okay, this flat I want to rent. Let an air conditioner be installed in this flat. That was what he said. The plaintiff installed the air conditioner, and subsequently the defendant refused to take up the flat. Can you see that? The plaintiff offered the defendant two flats. He offered him two flats. He said, come and take these two flats. Then the defendant accepted it. He accepted it, but he made a counter. That was not like an acceptance. He accepted it, but that was not acceptance. But he made a counter offer. He said, no, install air conditioner in the two flats. That was a counter offer. He said, install air conditioner in the two flats. That was a counter offer. And what did the plaintiff do? The plaintiff accepted the counter offer, and by installing air conditioner. So the plaintiff behavior of installing the air conditioner amounted to acceptance of that counter offer. And then the defendant said, I'm not going to take it to flat again. I'm not going to take it to flat again. Can you see that kind of scenario? So look at what the court held after the plaintiff instituted an action. Now, the court held that there was a valid contract. The contract inferred, the court inferred conduct from the actions of the defendant requesting air condition. There was a valid contract between them. By the acts of the defendant making a request of, like say, install two air conditioner, and then the plaintiff accepting it and installing two air conditioner after that counter offer, and then the defendant is stating that I'm not going to take it too flat. No, there is a binding contract in that particular scenario. So now the second thing you need to note, because this is where most students get confused, is that there is difference between requesting an information and counter offer. Yes, there is acceptance. Yes, there's counter offer on one hand, but there's also a request for more information. Something like, let me put it down, request for more information. So in explaining this, let's then look at the case of Stevenson versus McLean. Stevenson versus McLean. This is an exception to counter offer. Now, in this particular case, the defendant offered to sell iron to the plaintiff. The defendant offered to sell iron to the plaintiff. That was what the defendant did. At 40 shillings a ton. Open until on Monday. So the defendant offered to the plaintiff. He offered to sell iron to the plaintiff, and he said, it is open until on Monday. That's what the defendant said. On Monday morning at 10 a.m. On Monday morning at 10 a.m., the plaintiff sent a telegraph asking if he could have credit terms. So on Monday morning at 10 a.m., the defendant said that this particular offer I'm giving to you is opened until on Monday. So on Monday morning at 10 a.m., the plaintiff sent a telegram asking if he could pay, if he could have credit terms. He did not say, I'm not going to accept it. He did not say, I'm going to accept it. He just said, can I have credit terms? Can I have credit terms? That's just request for mere information. Now look at what the defendant did. At 1:34 p.m., the plaintiff sent a telegram. Okay, the plaintiff sent a telegram accepting the defendant's offer. But at 1:25 p.m., the defendant has sent a telegram. And look at what the telegram stated. The telegram stated sold iron to third party at 1:46. The plaintiff sued the defendant for breach of contract, and the defendant contended that the plaintiff telegraph was a counter offer. So can you see this particular case? Now let me explain this case. In this particular case, the defendant told the defendant offered to sell iron to the plaintiff. The defendant offers to sell iron to the plaintiff, and he told this plaintiff that this offer is open until Monday. After Monday, the offer is closed. So now, what did the plaintiff do? The plaintiff just told the defendant that, can I have credit terms? Now he did not say, okay, can you extend it? No, he just said, can I have credit terms? Then the defendant took it as a counter offer. The defendant took it as a counter offer. That statement, can I have credit terms? He took it as a counter offer, and he sold it to another party. After subsequently the plaintiff have accepted it, because he cannot have credit terms. Then he accepted the offer. Then the defendant gave him a reply by saying that I've sold it to a third party. That act of you requesting for credit terms is counter offer. That's what the defendant was saying. The defendant was saying the act of the plaintiff requesting, can I have credit terms, is counter offer. So he sold it to another party. So the plaintiff instituted an action in court. Now what did the court say? Now the court heard that the plaintiff first telegraph, which was, can I have credit terms, the court heard that the plaintiff first telegraph was not a counter offer, but only a mere request of information. Was not a counter offer, but only a mere request for information. So you should see the difference between counter offer and mere request for information. So you can see that counter offer, you vary the terms of the contract in counter offer, but for mere request for mere information, you don't vary the terms. You just like requesting for an extra information, or requesting, just like, for example, now let me use the case of Mr. A and Mr. B. Let me use the case of Mr. A. Let me just use that particular scenario. And Mr. A offers told Mr. B, buy my barrel before Monday. Buy my barrel before Monday. Then Mr. B, then he sent Mr. B his account number. He sent Mr. B his account number. Then Mr. B then sent to Mr. A. Then Mr. B told Mr. A, should I do transfer, or I should use POS, or I should go to the bank to transfer the money? Then Mr. A then says that's a counter offer. No, that's the court is trying to say in that particular scenario, that's just a mere request for information. So this is it for counter offer. By name, I am Japhet Okaka Ebusetali. Thank you so much for watching.